Let's talk about how will these overnight cues impact our own markets. We have our research team joining as always to tell us what the trade setup looks like, the stocks that are likely to be in the news, and the action from the F&O space as well. Hey guys, a very good morning to all of you. Vivek, let me come across to you first. What is the market setup looking like today?
Well, good morning. After 2 days where we actually had quite a bit of a strong handover from global markets, today is a very subdued, in fact, a negative handover coming in. Like you mentioned earlier, most of the US markets ended in the red with, surging treasury yields, one of the key reasons why we actually saw such a negative outflow. Important also keep track that Tesla actually declared its results where revenues were above the estimates, but when you're talking about the bottom line was a little bit of a significant miss, and which is why you actually saw quite a bit of a drop as far as Tesla is concerned in the extended hours. UK also saw, extended and heightened inflation worries, and which is why most of the European markets also ended in the red. Now, when you're coming across to gold prices that actually eased, 2 days ago, once again was down, and when you're talking about, gold prices went down a little over 1% on the back of worries of both dollar as well as the yield. When you're talking about crude prices actually saw quite a bit of a significant gain. WTI futures went up over 3%, and when you're talking about Brent futures, also ended higher by over 2%. Now remember, Indian markets mainly tracking Q2 results, whole host of results that came yesterday. The stocks will react today, and today some very important results like ITC, Asian Paints, Axis Bank, Bajaj Finance and Tata Consumer will be on the radar as far as trading desks are concerned. Also important to track, remember yesterday Indian markets ended significantly off highs on the back of the weaker rupee, so that will be another important cue to keep an eye out for. Asian markets have taken the weak handover, and SGX Nifty is also indicating a significant discount as far as the Indian markets are concerned.
Yes, looks like a day in the red. Vivek, thank you so much for all those cues. Now, Surbhi is joining us. There will be some stocks that will be in focus as well. Surbhi, which ones are those?
Few stocks that are on my watch list today. The first one is AU Small Finance Bank, where sharp rise in yields and CASA growth drove beat on estimates. CASA ratio was at 42.3% versus 30% same time last year. IndusInd Bank also beats estimates. NIM at a 9-quarter high, and return ratios are the best in 11 quarters. Home First Finance, where disbursals and AUM both are up 36% on a year-on-year basis. Max Financial Services also reported strong VNB margins, but was muted on the growth front. VNB margins were up 210 basis points at 31.3%. Naveen Fluorine earnings were lower than estimate. Margins declined due to high raw material prices. DCM Shriram also saw weak numbers on a year-on-year basis, led by vinyl business and losses in the sugar segment. Lastly, Nippon Life AMC, where the revenue was up 5% sequentially and yields were at 0.47%. Few more stocks that might react to their numbers. Shoppers Stop, Metro, Havells and Inox all reported their earnings post-market yesterday. And lastly, quite a few numbers that are coming out today. Asian Paints, Axis Bank, Bajaj Finance, ITC, United Breweries, Tata Consumer and Colgate. So we will be keeping an eye out for all of them today.
Okay, that is a long list, a lot of earnings which are expected today. Thanks a lot for that, Surbhi. Finally, let me go across to Manglam, joining in with all the cues from the F&O space. Hey, Manglam.
Good morning. So yesterday, in the last hour of trade, a sharp sell-off in the rupee actually caused a fair amount of volatility in the equity markets as well. And as a result of which, both the Nifty as well as the Nifty Bank fell about 100 and 270 points from their highs respectively. And now the SGX Nifty, on account of weak global cues, is indicating that the cut could be anywhere between 100 to 140 points at the open itself. And the FIs were positioning for that yesterday as well, because the Nifty October futures actually turned into a discount of 17 points versus a premium of 15 points during the day itself. And then we saw net inflows in the cash market. While they were positive, they were lower than what we've seen over the last 3 trading sessions. And institutional flows, the gross institutional volumes too, were slightly on the lower side. But back to the point on index futures, the FIs have positioned themselves for some weakness. They added close to around 4,000 short contracts as against 1,500 long contracts, and as a result of which their short contract still remains at 70-odd%. It is weekly options expiry today, and the FIs have positioned for weakness because, they've bought twice the number of puts as calls, close to around 1 lakh puts bought as against 50,000 calls. And on the way up, there is congestion, and that's why they've sold twice the number of calls as against the number of puts that they've sold. 71,000 calls sold against 31,000 puts. Where have the calls been sold? 17,600. That corresponds with yesterday's high. So that is a difficult mark to cross. And with the SGX Nifty indicating a weakness, maybe the 50-day moving average comes into play as a stiff resistance at around that 17,500 odd mark. On the way down, we will be watching for some support coming by at the 20-day moving average, which comes in at 17,200. But the point is that dips are being bought into this market. Any dip towards that 17,200 mark should be a buying opportunity.